Hello, I am stuck in the middle here, which isn't exactly where I expected to be on this, but I am going to do a little bit more about, I suppose, the UX, which is looking at consistency and how we can get better at our processes. It's attention to detail, it's attention to only providing what was asked, and if you have a bit more and there's no space to do it, maybe ask, do you want it? But being very, very clear on only answering what was asked. So the first thing I noticed, there was a little bit of inconsistency with the labels and stuff. So I went back and I read the original task that I had set out, and I found the errors that I had made in this. Because basically, this is what happens when you do copy and paste. This is what was over on the Discord group that we have, and it wasn't very clear here when I say give the following feedback that's on this card and create a new card underneath. That probably should have read found on this card, just to be really clear, this, because it did cause some confusion that you didn't use this card itself. Create a card underneath, adding yourself as a member, add a checklist, and follow the checklist. But then when I looked at the checklist, I actually forgot to mention labels. Now, I had given this example over here as an example, and I did have a label there, and I did explain it outside of the task. But this is where I can improve myself within the setting the tasks. Have I been clear on everything that I've asked, which is up here? The checklist then is paint done. So what does it take to do this? So that was the one I did notice, is that I hadn't been clear about the labels, and you can see somebody down here created a new label. Now, even though this was CSS only, so was this one. This one was actually HTML only, and there was nothing. Now, so if I'm going back doing this again, I need to be really clear. Don't create any more labels, or yes, do create new labels. Because the problem is, if everybody is just adding in labels, they mean nothing after a while because they become digital clutter. Whereas if on the one that I created there, I was very clear this is HTML5 only, and it's under the category of HTML and CSS. That's enough. I don't need to go creating another label. Because if we did that for every little thing, the whole idea of organization goes out the window. It has to be, the labels need to be clearly defined for organization. Checklist then is normally, now I mean, we can use these for whatever we like, but this is how it's normally done. A checklist then should be, have I done everything? Is everything checked off the list to mark this as complete? Now, what I had asked is people would add themselves as a member, and a few people didn't. So that means then I have no idea who created these other cards. So that is something for that person to look into and say, okay, I missed this little bit here. And it's just attention to detail of doing what we're asked, and not just deciding to do more, which I know we're all being told, oh, give more, more is better. No, not necessarily. More can become clutter very, very quickly. So that's, and that particular person had gone to the 11 out of 11 checklist, which I talked about in the previous video, which the 9 is the checklist, the original checklist. This should be followed. Nothing should be checked off this checklist unless it's exactly what is there. Remember, I mentioned the 10 out of 10, not 30 out of 30 or 25 out of 25 or whatever, that it is given what out of 10 out of 10, what would you give the quiz structure? Now that isn't necessarily your result, and a lot of people actually did put in their result for this one. How did you think you could have got 10 out of 10 or 25 out of 25, but you thought, you know what, that was not well structured, I'm only going to give that a 5 out of 10. So just again, it's attention to detail. What exactly is being asked, and am I answering it? So this is actually really cool, because as I said, it's even helping me understand, okay, this is where I need to improve my clarity. I need, because another thing I don't have over here, but I automatically put up here without thinking. And this is what can happen when we're used to doing things. We can forget to tell people who are not used to doing them best practices. So for me, the best practices is on this card. I have a label so I know which group it's in. Tutorial spot, I know exactly where it's from. It was HTML5 only, so I know that information is really important. You can see my little picture there. And it was completed. So I know that all of these were done at a glance. And that is what UX is about, is the most important information available at a glance. Or if I look at some of these other ones, CSS test, CSS quiz, are these all from the same platform? I don't know. And do you see where I want people to start feeling and seeing what UX is, not just learning off a bunch of knowledge of the, put this here and put that there. I want you to see UX is about making life easier and faster time to completion. So if I wanted to organize these and do out lists here that were HTML only or CSS only or mixed, if I wanted to create 3 more columns, I can easily drag and drop from this card. Not as easy, are any, I don't know if these are duplications or whatever, because if it's a duplication, what I might decide to do is merge it into another card. So do you see what I'm saying? It's really important to have the important stuff at the top, which was the demo that was here. And I realized I was missing bits that I didn't clearly spell this out in the task, which I have learned that I will be doing in future. But it's the label, so I know which group it's in. Tutorial spot, I know exactly what platform it was on. I know it was HTML only, and I know it was completed. Okay, hope that makes sense.